Hey Sec 3s and 4s, I've compiled the most valuable and important O-level advice for you from my class of 2023 students. These are the students who scored A1 or they made huge grade improvements like E8 to A2. They'll be talking specifically about how to ace O-level pure bio, but many of the tips are applicable to other subjects. Before we start, I'll explain a few phrases that they keep using so you'll understand what they're talking about. Number one, when they say notes, they are referring to our free pure bio notes. You can get that in the description of this video below. Number two, when they say CAQs, it stands for commonly asked questions. This is when I went to find what are the questions that keep coming out for each topic. We compiled them, we made model answers for each of them so our students can study smart. This is supposed to be exclusive only for our TBT students. But if you want the first 6 chapters for free, you can get it if you are in our Telegram channel. So link in description. 3. Crash course clips or pre-recorded videos. So when they say this, they're referring to how we cut out clips, right, of all the major bio concepts under each topic. We put in a Google Drive for our students. Number 4, study sessions. So near the O-levels period, we held these guided Zoom study sessions for all our students for free, even though it costs us money. And the whole point of it is to get students to just study more during this crucial period, so they are more motivated, they don't procrastinate, and they just increase their grades. Lastly, number 5, TYS answers. If you hear this, they're not talking about the crappy assessment book TYS answers. A lot of students have complained that it's terrible, so we took it on ourselves to make high quality, updated syllabus TYS answers. And the good news is, it's free to public. So if you want it, which I highly recommend for your TYS revision when you mark and do corrections, it's also in the Telegram channel, so you should join that group. Yeah, so that's it. Enjoy and learn from their advice.
Don't be too stressed. Do your best. 加油. The most help was definitely like pre-recorded videos. The videos I can like in my free time, I'll just like sit down somewhere and like listen and like sometimes take notes also. Then when like on the car to school, I'll also like just put in my earpiece and just like sit there and listen. So like it is like a very subtle thing you can do, but I feel like it's a really big help. Because sometimes you like catch something that you hear that like is a very big tip, then you're like, oh, and then like suddenly you're very intrigued. Another thing that helped a lot was the CAQs. Like I really like the CAQs. It's a very good way to like make me think very fast about MCQs and like trains my speed of answering the questions. So like, go through all the TYS and just do everything. Because like once you do the TYS, you realize like how many questions ask the same thing, but in like very different words.
You just have to firstly understand the topic completely. That's the very important part. And then when you start practicing, you have to do your topical TYS and then followed by CAQs and then yearly TYS. And this method actually helped me memorize all the content as well as apply and practice all the techniques before O-level started.
Okay, number 1, join TBT. Just join ThatBioTutor. And then number 2 is, I think you should actually plan your revision. I was always a really last minute person, but only until this year I actually got the wake up call. And also like because you had I remember you had a session where you planned out the revision schedule for us, and then it was really helpful for me because after that I just immediately tried to implant that into my own calendar as well. And I think that's what, because like when you have a plan, everything is so much more organized and it's just much more easy to focus because you know what you're going to do, and instead of dwelling on the time, you have to mark your own questions and see what points are relevant to each. Yeah. I remember there was like questions will always have these front words which say like describe or explain this or like define blah blah blah, and then that made me also know how to answer the question more because like define is just give the definition. And I also like the answering techniques you gave for like giving definitions also was like just try to, if you can't remember it, then just try to say it with your own words. I don't know how, but after I went for the lesson, I just gradually knew how to like look at the keywords of the questions and not just see one part and say like, oh my god, this is about osmoregulation. I'll like write the whole thing, but I'll just write it according to like the question's context. For example, like a patient or whatever. I felt like the notes were like a holy grail for me. for real. Like, it made the learning process so much more easy because I had something that was really fast and like quick to refer to when I was unsure of anything, when I was doing my practices as well. Just like I said just now, the CAQs section and the mind maps, like the drawn mind maps at the end of the chapters, made it really useful. It helped me like form connections between like each chapter and each concept within the chapter. I also thought I think there was the daily Zoom studying sessions during the exam season, and it made me feel so like, it was so helpful to me because it was like, so it helped me to concentrate and like stay motivated. It was so comforting to know that there were other people studying alongside me and like, they were also working through like these tough times with me, because I can't sit down for hours. So what I did was the Quizlet flashcards, and then I would just go through them sometimes on the bus or when I was going home, and it helped me to like form. It was like something called active recall, which helped me to grasp the concepts and also memorize in a way, because it just gradually got into my head and I could answer. Like, it also really helped me for MCQ because it helped quick thinking also. And then I also memorized a lot of memory shortcuts, like the acronyms that the notes provided, and it made making connections and writing the answers so much more faster. And like when I was doing test papers, I would always try to attempt it, even if I was really unfamiliar with a topic, I would always try to attempt it without the notes. And then after I wrote the answer, I would attempt it again with the help of like referring to notes.
Rather than doing a lot of practice papers, I would just focus on the CAQs, and since bio is a subject that they repeat a lot of questions, right? In my prelims also, there were a few questions that were the same as the CAQ. I think don't try to memorize the content, rather understand it. That way you will remember it a lot better and longer also. And try to do the active recall with flashcards. Those really help. And do many practices also to get used to how to answer. And also, there's a lot of writing in bio, so like get used to it and you won't waste a lot of time in the exam.
I think for bio in particular, what I did was I paid attention in class, and I think it's a really classic thing that everyone says, but really for this subject, for me, the reason why I actually enjoy bio is that I see it as like a flow of things. So A happens, and because of A, B happens. So that's how I understand that subject. So it's like a river flowing, you know. So at the start, the river starts flowing, and like you have to make sure there's no blocks in the river. If not, you're not going to understand what's going to happen behind. You have to make sure you get rid of your doubts at the start and listen in class, regardless of how much you've prepared, right, for your exams. Any subject, doesn't matter. When you go into the exam, it is a new paper. Inevitably, there's going to be a question or part of a question that you don't understand or you don't know. In that period of time, it's really important that you don't panic. It's not because you're dumb. It's not because you weren't prepared. It's because it's just a paper that you've never seen before. That happened to almost every paper that I did. There's a part of a question that I didn't understand or like I had difficulty answering. Don't panic, and that you don't give up.
Don't feel like it's too late to start. Yeah, I think many of us, maybe we have not been revising consistently throughout the year. But the months approaching to O-levels, don't feel like, like, oh my god, the runway is too short, then let me just give up. Use the resources that you have lah. And yeah, I think should also not take it for granted, because I feel like sometimes we know that we have all these resources, then we'll be like, it can just be until the very end. I just feel like studying with people, they motivate me because you can see that everyone's doing something and everyone has a common goal of doing well in O-levels. So studying together kind of makes it more conducive, and also because it's online, right, there's less disruption anyways. Yeah, so it makes studying alone, at home, a lot easier. Behind every note that he gives, right, there will be the mind map, which is like a quick summary. So usually what I'll do is that I will redraw the mind map once in pencil, and then I'll erase certain key information inside. Then I'll try to fill up and see whether I can fill that up. Yeah, I just keep on remembering the short forms. And then I think another good way to remember, right, is that when your friends don't understand, right, you explain to them. Wealthy otters ate custard pudding dessert. Yeah, then you tell them that, how the CAQ works. Then when both of you apply, then you can check each other's work also.
The memory shortcuts, because they allow me to memorize more efficiently. For the practice papers, I think I got to practice different type of questions and like the more creative type of questions that may come out during O levels, so I felt more prepared. Maybe I also tried to like be consistent besides the homework questions, cause like when it was close to O level period, actually we didn't have homework that often because we had to study for other subjects also. So like I tried to memorize every topic CAQ, like maybe 1 to 2 topics every few days, and then like after I finish all the topics, then I just go back to the weaker topics, and then I just like repeat the cycle. In Sec 3, I kind of slacked, and also like I didn't really know what was the best way of studying bio, so that's why my results were quite bad. But I only like started revising more consistently in Sec 4. Yeah, so I think it would be better if you plan your revision early. And also like, for paper 1, I will do this like when I revise. So before the O level paper 1, I actually like went back and looked through all my mistakes for like the more recent years paper 1. So because they always like tend to repeat certain type of questions, it would be good if you look through the mistakes to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes during the actual exam. Remember to rest well. I actually had to stay up a bit more to like revise and memorize the content. And I had to drink coffee on the day itself to make sure I don't fall asleep. Yeah, to play safe, better not do that lah. Cause I was really quite desperate. I was a bit scared. So I stay up until quite late.
I write notes. So I know some people say like writing notes, yeah, like writing the same thing over again. Then what do you remember? Yeah, I mean that's true for like some stuff. But then when I write notes, it's like, cause I'm just switching up the sentences by myself to like make it shorter. So I'm like thinking how to like make the sentence shorter, but also capturing all the like important stuff. So I guess that's what helped me also, especially in like drawing. When I draw, like I know all the different parts and stuff, like the eye or like your respiratory system. Yeah, just don't put off your work like till the end of the week. Just do a little every day. I know it's like you say you'll do like a little every day because like I'm like that, but then you actually don't, and then at the end of the year you really like regret. Maybe do it every 2 days, or your work or your revision. It doesn't have to be every day.
My advice would be, don't waste your time doing mindless scrolling on the internet. I think something that other people don't know as I was studying for O levels is that I would say that I was pretty distracted by social media and some games on the internet. Like there was a time I really loved to play the Jetpunk games. Instead, focus on what you can improve on before the O levels as much as possible. I felt that during lessons that BioTutor will ask us some questions, content-related questions. It definitely pushes students like myself to memorize. This is a method that I felt really worked like throughout my secondary school years. So what I would do is I would repeatedly copy down the information that I need to revise. And afterwards, I would try to memorize it as best as I can, trying to write out the keywords that I felt was important. If I'm not wrong, this method is called blurting. Repeatedly write out the answers, the accurate answers that is needed for you to ace the exam.
Some advice would be to understand why you're motivated, or find a motivation for you. If you're not motivated when you're studying, it's really impossible for you to like dedicate your time towards your efforts or being able to stay focused when you're studying. And you need to be able to stay consistent so that you're able to like see your improvement as the time goes on. It was most likely consistency, in that I decided that I should be consistent throughout my final preparations for O levels, in that I would every day go do some bio notes. Even though I'm studying mathematics every day, I will at least dedicate a little bit of time to like flip through my bio notes and make sure I understand or I can still remember. So when the day comes when I'm actually practicing my practice papers, I have a better understanding of the concepts and the keywords that I need to memorize when doing the papers, which really like sped up my improvement gradient when I was doing the practice papers.
I'll advise you to start early and like don't leave everything to the last minute, and you always have to clarify your doubts like whenever you have them. Like you cannot like, okay, I'm gonna compile this and then at the end of the week I'll ask. Like you'll forget about it. You'll never ask one. Like trust me, it doesn't work like it. Like the moment you have a question, right, just annoy the teacher for that, like just that second. Just ask them, I have this question, I'm so sorry, just clarify my doubts. And honestly, if you think about it, right, in a mean way, like it's kind of their job to clarify your doubt, right? If you have any like queries or anything, just ask. Like no one will judge you. Like the only person judging you is yourself. I started compiling all the chapters, and then like I always referred to the textbook and my own school notes and also my personal notes and ultimately your notes, and compile all of them together and try to like list out whatever if there's any missing information, then I'll just try to fit it in. By April, then I was trying to memorize and do topical TYS. I don't do yearly TYS. I didn't do it until I only did yearly TYS now August, and then I made sure that I finished topical by like the end of May, around there, yeah, or like June, during the June holidays as well lah. And then I also downloaded an app called YPP. I think it's very helpful because like when you see someone study, right, you kind of feel like peer pressure, and then you just try to study as well. Then like you can see like all your cumulative hours, and like once you start something, you don't really want to break the streak, right? So like if you start like a week and then you've been consistently studying, say like 4 to 5 hours a day, then that's like quite good lah, honestly. That's really what motivated me lah. Like you see like the calendar all filled, there's like no black empty boxes.
Don't get demoralized easily because it's not really practical that to expect yourself to do very well in every single test. So I think as long as you do not give up and continuously put in the effort, you'll pay off eventually. Really just memorize the commonly asked questions and really get familiar. So many past year papers for us to practice on, so we will never have an issue of the lack of practice. And all the papers actually come with the answer keys already. The impactful thing was the memory shortcut, because through that I do not need to worry forgetting information when I'm in the exam. So during the examinations, I have friends telling me, oh, I forgot to write this, I forgot to write that. But for me, because with the memory shortcut, I already had everything in mind, and forgetting information didn't really come as a big issue for me already, because I already knew what I had to put in my answers due to the memory shortcut. I really familiarized myself with the answers from the CAQs to a point where I can actually say it out word for word. And because the CAQs are tested so commonly, and when the moment it comes out in the exam, I already know what to write.
Oh, I would say join ThatBioTutor immediately. And it's also better because there's, the teachers in school, they have like so many students. They're like so sick and tired of you, and they're just doing this as a job, probably because they need the money. Maybe they like it, maybe. I don't know for sure. But anyways, moral of the story is join ThatBioTutor because there's a lot of good notes, and I think it will really help you do better in O-levels if you want to score very well for bio. Everything really helped, like every little bit from the lessons, the way you conduct it, the way you engage with us and ask us to like maybe answer questions. You don't have to make your own physical notes. It's like it saves a lot of time, because for me, I like to make my notes very nice, but there's no time for that. I think just using the resources regularly is like enough. Like you just need to study the notes well and revise it and do like questions. Like we also have the TYS answers, and they're like good TYS answers, so they will help you in preparation for O-levels. So you should definitely do that. And if you don't study and put in your own effort, then there's no way you're gonna score well. For bio, I would say it's good to write down your notes in like point form, because for bio there's like so much information and some is like extra and unnecessary. So you should write down the main points and kind of know yourself how to elaborate. Like you can test yourself or test yourself with friends, or just keep answering, try and spot out like how they commonly ask questions. Like they have the keywords like describe, and you have to know like how you're supposed to answer it, because if you answer it wrong, then you're not gonna get the marks. You have to read the question carefully, read the question very carefully, because sometimes they have keywords that you might miss out, like do not, or like all of that. For revising, always remember to take breaks, because if you study for a long period without taking breaks, you might like think of it as like, oh my god, this is such a chore, I don't want to study anymore. And then it could lead you to like thinking that studying is like very miserable, and then you might procrastinate on it a lot. Because I have experience, I'll be like, oh, I don't want to study, then I'll just procrastinate the whole day and waste my whole day away when I could have just studied and took breaks. And it's like very good because you study and you can have fun after that.
Start early, like genuinely. Just really start early. I have friends who really worked hard, but only like during prelims and onwards, and they ended up getting like 24 for L1R5. And I saw how much hard work they put in, but it's too late. June holidays is not the time for fun. Once the W2 ends, maybe take 4 days off, chill. After that, that's a proper grind. Be organized, create a timetable. I wrote it down like, okay, these days chemistry, these days bio, these days everything. And I think really take the advice of like your seniors, really like, because they know how to tackle everything. So yeah, really start early. It really lightens the stress. I would say you have those Quizlet flashcards. So to go to my school, I take 1 hour. So 2 hours every single day. So I wouldn't just like listen to music. Like that's not what the type of person I am. I want to do something. It's 1 whole hour, 2 whole hours. So I would use the Quizlet flashcards, and those are really beneficial because it's really really fast. It's really like you just know or you don't know. So it's really beneficial. So that one, the Quizlet flashcards are very good. And then I also downloaded the notes on my phone. Through that, I would just memorize the CAQs, the commonly asked questions, when going and coming back. So that's what I really liked about the resources. Also about the practical, like my school would really neglect practicals in a way, like they wouldn't care so much about it. They would just be like, okay, like just memorize the techniques and that's it. But then the resources that like Mr. Keith provides, you have a lot of practice papers for practicals. So I think that really benefited. I had a lot more exposure. I think mainly I would do the content on your notes first. Right after that, I'll just do the CAQs. Like I'll make sure the CAQs I know. Because at the end, like the O-level paper, a good at least like, it may not sound a lot, but like 15% was definitely CAQs. 15-20%. And that's like really, really a lot, like when you think about it. So my mom at that time was like at home, so she would like be sitting in front of the computer screen, and I would just be like saying the CAQ. She would be saying the CAQ questions. After that, I would do the TYS, topical. Topical TYS is really important. Once I joined the BioTutor, because like I realized it was no longer just the game of content. The first day when I joined, I went to the Google Drive, and then like when I would see the practice papers and like the homework like you would provide, it was no longer just the CAQs. It was more application. That's when it like triggered, like maybe that's why other people study lesser than me still get much better than me marks. So I was like, that really helped me have a self-reflection.
For me, right, I cannot cram bio because it's a lot of info. I think the most important thing for bio is to stay consistent. So what I do is I'll try to like every morning on my way to school, I will try to revise the flashcards. I think that's something that really helped me a lot. One set of like flashcards every day, I think it really like jog your memory and like really strengthen your memory. So I think if you do it every day, then you won't have to cram so much before the exam, and it's like quite doable. Sleep well. Yeah, like if I don't have enough sleep, I cannot I cannot do bio. It's like I cannot memorize the content. What I did was like I studied outside instead of at home. I couldn't really focus at home due to my distractions. It's very hard to force myself to study at home. So what I like to do is like after school, maybe like I'll go out and sit at like a cafe or go to a library or something to study.
Hey guys, if that was helpful for you, then subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to join our O-level pure bio tuition classes, click the link below or go to thatbiotutor.com.